Come for the goofy revisionist history, but stay for scenery chewing Rasputin he Kingsman, an origin story, for the previous two films in the Kingsman series, is a dumb bit of fun, a revisionist history of World War I told in a nimble, comic book style. At times it is perhaps too comic. Tom Hollander's sneering Kaiser Wilhelm is like something that snuck in from the Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker spy spoof, Top Secret. And then there is Rasputin, Rhys Ifans, who is deliciously over the top, albeit in a pretty spectacular way. This is not to say that the film, directed and cowritten by Matthew Vaughn, who helmed the two previous entries, is not without serious moments. The horrors of World War I battlegrounds are vividly shown, and the film certainly tries to be respectful to the lives that were lost and could have been saved during the Great War. But even as this film provides lessons about privilege and responsibility, as well as reputation versus character, the former is what others think you are, the latter is what you are. The Kingsman really just wants to feature as many souped-up fight scenes as possible, and some of the action set pieces are fantastic. But first, some backstory. The Kingsman opens in 1902, South Africa, where a tragedy befalls Orlando Oxford, Ralph Fiennes, and his young son, Conrad, Harris Dickinson. The episode prompts Orlando to protect his only child who, 12 years later, insists on serving in the war after Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, Ron Cook, is assassinated. But Orlando is a gentle man, a pacifist, and cannot allow his son to see battle, even when he is of age to enlist. Related. 20 epic fails from the history of pop culture. The film pits the three cousins, King George of England, Tom Hollander, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, Tom Hollander, and Tsar Nicholas of Russia, Tom Hollander, against each other. However, it is really a cadre of baddies, led by a mysterious Scotsman, who is pulling the strings. One of the evildoers' henchmen is the Gavrilo Princip, Joel Basman, assassin of the Archduke. Another is Rasputin, who has Tsar Nicholas under his spell. Vaughn provides a glossy historical fiction that places Orlando and Conrad in the carriage when the Archduke and his wife, Sophie, Barbara Drennan, are shot. It also involves the Oxfords conning their way to a Christmas party to do in Rasputin, who has a taste for sweet cakes and sweet boys. The homophobia here is cringy, but so too is Rasputin. Orlando's plan is for Conrad to be the bait to get Rasputin to eat a poisoned cake. Yet the film twists this so Orlando is in a private room with Rasputin, with his trousers off, and the Russian mystic trying to heal the injured Orlando getting incredibly close to his manhood. It's a sight to behold because Ifans goes wild, not just in that moment, but with the action that comes next. Suffice it to say, Rasputin dances like a whirling dervish, fighting any comers, and, as legend dictates, is immune to most attempts on his life. It's a rollicking sequence and the highlight of The Kingsman. The film has more than an hour to go when this bit is over, and the film gets sluggish as Conrad asserts his independence and enters the war against his father's wishes. This stretch of the film sets up the big climax, but the more interesting part involves not Conrad's experiences dodging bullets on the battlefield, but Polly, Gemma Arterton, Orlando's trusty assistant, breaking coded messages from Germany by using a network of well-placed domestics. This kind of quiet subversive spycraft is fun, but a subplot about Mata Hari, Valerie Pachner, seducing President Woodrow Wilson, Ian Kelly, to blackmail him, is silly. Still, it gets Orlando, Polly and Orlando's right-hand man, Shola, Jaimin Hansu, to recover the cinematic proof of Wilson's assignation in the Scotsman's mountain lair where adorable goats are being raised to make the softest, rarest cashmere. The Kingsman starts to get far-fetched and exhausting at this point, and then it includes a death-defying airplane adventure and a mountaineering sequence that lead up to the final showdown with the obvious, nefarious villain. Vaughn tries to go to extremes with these scenes, but they just scream CGI. Such visual gimmickry is better used earlier in the film, when a character on a ship is killed by a torpedo from a nearby submarine. Vaughn uses a nifty tracking shot to show what will happen right before it does. As for the various fight scenes, the ones involving gunfire feels telegraphed, whereas the swordplay sequences are far more exciting and believable.